She'd stopped playing once she hadn't been able to take the gnawing hunger anymore. Lyra hadn't eaten since, well, this morning at home in Canterlot. Had that really been today? Des Moines was about as far from home as she could get, it seemed. She knelt down in front of her Lyra's case and examined what the humans had dropped in there. She was happy to see a few coins, silver and bronze, no gold, but mostly it was just green pieces of paper. She picked one up. It had a human's face on it and the number 1 in all corners. Was this worth something? Lots of humans had given her these, so maybe it was.
Whoa, I've never seen an instrument like that.
Yeah!
She stood up and whirled around, still holding her lyre in both hands. It was a girl, probably about the same age as her. Lyra recognized her. This human had been watching for a while. She had dark hair tied back and hanging down just past the collar of her red plaid shirt. Lyra caught her breath.
So, a human is talking to me again. No big deal. Just have to stay calm. Yeah, wait, you've never seen one? That can't be right. This is a human instrument. It had to be. Didn't humans play these too?
It's a lyre, isn't it?
Yeah. Whew. I thought you said you hadn't seen one before.
Well, not in real life. Ooh, does it have any magic powers?
Magic? Oh, no! Of course not!
Calm down. I was just kidding. It just made me think of... Never mind. You must not play Legend of Zelda.
I'm actually not taking requests.
She didn't know how to play that one, but it might be one of the legends that humans were said to recite with a lyre. Maybe she could learn it. She scooped the money and the green papers up and shoved them into her pockets, then put away her instrument.
I was just about to get going, actually. Wait, you live here, don't you? Where can I get something to eat?
It's not like there's anything too special around here.
I'll eat just about anything at this point.
You'll probably just want something cheap anyway. I don't imagine you make very much playing. But you were pretty good. Oh, by the way, I'm Audrey.
She was offering a handshake, probably. Lyra knew about those. Ponies had a variation, but without the fingers.
My name's Lyra.
Their fingers closed together. Lyra stared at their hands.
I can't believe this is happening.
Lyra, like your instrument.
Huh? Yeah, I guess so.
Where did you even learn how to play one of those?
I've been playing it ever since I was ever since I was a little kid. My parents got it for me. Well, not my parents. I was adopted.
Oh.
I'm just really hungry right now. I need to eat something.
Right. I was just on my way to dinner too. Why don't you come with me?
Seriously? A human is offering to eat with me! This is almost too good to be true. And it still isn't a dream. This is really happening.
It was just an offer. You don't have to. I mean, it's summer vacation and I'm a bit starved for human interaction.
Same here!
Well, that settles it, I guess.
Lyra nodded vigorously and followed her out of the park.
So, do you play here often? I cut through here a lot and I've never seen you.
No, I'm from out of town. Where do you live?
Walnut Street. It's a short walk from here.
Audrey gestured over to their right, and Lyra's eyes followed her hand. She was a bit more interested in the hand itself than where it was pointing. After a few blocks, they reached a green-roofed building, a restaurant. Through the windows, Lyra could see humans seated at tables eating something. It reminded her again how hungry she was.
Well, it's not much, but you said you didn't care.
The smell of something good, food, though Lyra couldn't identify what, was strong. The inside of the building was set up like any other restaurant, except that there were humans at the tables and in the kitchen at the back. There was a family with some children in the corner. Music was playing. From where? It was probably a recording, but there was no phonograph set up that she could see. Normally Lyra would have been more interested in observing what was going on here, but right now she was starving. Besides, she was about to figure out what human food was like. It might be similar to what ponies ate. She hoped humans liked cake as much as she did. Audrey went up to the counter and spoke to the human operating the register.
I'll have a number 1, and no mustard on that, please.
You want that as combo?
Yep.
That'd be $5.67.
Lyra was watching closely at how Audrey paid, but all she handed to the cashier was a small rectangular card, and then he gave it back to her.
Isn't she supposed to actually pay?
Can I help you?
Now the cashier was talking to Lyra. What did she order? All Audrey said was a number.
I'll just have the same thing. That's the safest way to go, I figure.
Alright, that'll be $5.67.
5.67. What?
Lyra reached into her pocket and pulled out the wad of paper. She was pretty sure that it was human currency. She stared at it for a few seconds, then handed it over. The human looked confused, but took out some of them and handed the rest back to her. He scooped a few coins out of the register.
33 cents is your change. Have a nice day.
You too. Everybody here is so friendly. Princess Celestia was wrong about humans. Or at least I had been right that humans in my world would be different. Hard to believe that just this morning I'd been in boring old Canada and now I'm somewhere as amazing as Des Moines. So, what exactly does Des Moines mean? That's where we are, right?
I can't remember. Something French.
Oh, really? So I ended up in France?
Lyra smiled, imagining what Rarity's reaction would be if she knew where she was right now. France was a real place. In this world, it was still thriving.
How long have you been in town?
I just got here today.
You'll get used to it. It's pretty boring around here, really.
I doubt that.
As they waited for their food, Lyra listened to the music wherever it might be coming from. It was pretty catchy, whatever it was. It was an upbeat tune. This was human music, Lyra realized. She liked it more than the classical stuff that was popular back home. The food came out on brown trays. Lyra recognized some of the food as fries, but they didn't look like they were made from hay like the ones back home. The other food came in small square boxes made of cardboard. They'd been given empty cups made out of paper. She watched Audrey go over to a box next to the counter and fill up hers with something. Lyra just imitated what she'd done and took a sip. It was just regular soda. A bit sweeter and more bubbly than back home, but other than that, it was like being in Sugar Cube Corner again. By the time they'd sat down, Lyra couldn't hold herself back. She opened up the box, it was some kind of sandwich, and started eating immediately.
So you really were hungry.
It's delicious.
It's really nothing special. Anyways, where did you say you were from?
It's, what do humans think of ponies? I'm not gonna take a chance until I know. It's a small town really far from here. You've probably never heard of it. It's that far away.
Right.
The lettuce was falling out of Lyra's sandwich onto the tray. It was difficult to hold the sandwich all together. Maybe she just wasn't experienced enough with her new hands. Lyra watched as Audrey picked up and ate some fries. She used her fingers thoughtlessly. She'd always had them, so she didn't realize they were anything special. Humans like her couldn't even imagine how lucky they were.
I'd really like to hear more about you. What do you do? Do you have a job?
I tried applying a few places last summer, but didn't get anything back. Same thing this year. Usually I'm too busy with school to work the rest of the year.
You're still in school? But how old are you?
16 as of last February. What do you mean, still?
I graduated years ago.
From what? I've still got 2 years of high school left. Then I want to go to Grandview to study psychology, and that'll be another 4 years at least.
What to say? What to say? Humans really go to school for that long? I'm only a few months older than this human, and yet I've been out of magic school for a long time.
Her thoughts were interrupted by a sudden burst of music. It had a tinny quality and sounded close by, closer than the other music that was playing here.
Whoops, that's mine.
Audrey pulled some small black object from her pocket. She stared down at it for a moment and got an irritated look on her face. Lyra sat there, not sure what the proper response was.
Why would he expect me to know anything about eBay?
Audrey wasn't speaking to her. She just stared at the thing in her hands and then started tapping on it with her thumbs, which was interesting. Then she put it away again and her friendly expression returned instantly.
Sorry. That was my friend Nathan.
Lyra nodded, though she was even more confused than ever. That thing had a name, and Audrey considered it a friend. Audrey's explanation had been so casual that it was as if Lyra was simply expected to understand.
But anyways, I still don't know anything about you. What are you doing here in Des Moines?
Oh, well, I'm looking for my parents, actually.
Right, you mentioned you were adopted earlier. You don't mind me asking about it, do you?
No, not at all. I actually didn't even know that I was adopted until just recently.
Really? Most adopted children these days know about it. It relieves a lot of the stigma, lets kids know that they're still wanted. I can't imagine what you must have gone through when you found out.
My situation was complicated. Let's leave it at that.
Still, leaving your parents behind and all that?
I moved out a while ago. I guess I could have stayed in town, closer to home. Twilight did that.
Twilight?
Yeah, she was a friend.
She remembered when they'd been doing research together a few months ago. Look who had turned out to be right.
That's kind of an odd name. What, were her parents hippies or something?
Yeah, total hippies. Whatever that means.
Man, people must always be teasing her. About the books?
Well, sometimes, but wait. How did you know Twilight likes books?
No, I was talking about... You know what? Never mind. Keep going. You were talking about when you moved out. How long ago was that?
About 4 years ago?
And you're how old?
16, same as you.
You've been living on your own since you were 12.
Yeah, well, I mean, I had a roommate. This city's bigger than what I'm used to, but I think I'll be able to manage.
Your parents kicked you out when you were 12?
No, I chose to move out. They didn't force me to leave or anything, and I wanted to be on my own. My parents didn't really like all the research I was doing. Well, it's not really important, but I was able to do whatever I wanted.
You were 12. That's just, I don't know, a serious case of neglect or something. Didn't social services find out about it?
It's really no big deal.
And you mentioned trying to find your real parents, and that's why you came here.
Yeah, my parents, well, my adopted parents, they gave me this picture. This is all I have from my real family.
This is all they gave you? Do you even know their names? Anything about where they're from?
All Lyra knew was that they were from this world. Still, she didn't think humans were aware that Equestria existed. She hadn't known that this place had.
No, I don't really know anything about them.
Jeez, I'd hate to say it, but I don't think this'll do much good. I can't believe they'd just send you out on your own with nothing but that. This kind of thing just doesn't happen. It makes no sense.
Oh, it's fine. Like I've said, I've lived on my own for a long time. I think I can manage.
Where are you from?
Like I said, you wouldn't have heard of it. It's not important.
I don't even know what to say to this.
Yeah.
Lyra took another bite as she tried to figure out what to say next. She finished the last of her sandwich. It was exactly what she needed, and she was feeling completely full.
That was delicious. What is it?
You seriously never had a Big Mac before?
The first thing that came to mind was Applejack's big brother, but obviously that wasn't what she was talking about. The sandwich must have just had the same name by coincidence.
So, what's in it?
Greasy meat and cheese on a cheap bun? I don't exactly know what the sauce is, but that's...
You said there's meat in that?
Of course. Well, kind of. I mean, it's fast food. Who knows what's really in it?
Like animals?
Huh?
That came from something that was alive? Who did I just eat?
Oh my, you're a vegetarian. You should have told me. I figured everyone knew what these are. Don't tell me you've never been to a McDonald's before.
Who was that?
It was from a cow, probably. Mostly. I mean, I don't know how much of it was filler.
There were cows on Applejack's farm. They raised them for their milk and treated them kindly. Humans ate them, and Lyra had just...
I think I'm going to be sick.
Oh man, if you're a vegetarian, you could have warned me earlier. I would have suggested someplace else. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Pinky was right. And the worst part, meat is delicious.
Who? Right about what?
Oh, did I say Pinky? I meant Diane. We always call her Pinky because it's her favorite color, but she told me about... Oh...
Lyra, are you really going to be okay? I mean, I feel really, really terrible about this whole thing.
I'll be fine. Do all humans eat like this?
Well, no, I mean, you said you were vegetarian. I am really so sorry.
She finished the rest of her food in uncomfortable silence, avoiding Lyra's eyes. The rest of the food seemed okay. It was safe at any rate. Lyra picked at the fries, though she wasn't feeling hungry anymore.
Audrey, you don't eat ponies, do you?
What? No!
Okay. That's good at least, though it really doesn't make things any better. I really want to trust this human. Things were going so well, but this? Can I really overlook this? Then again, all humans, or most of them anyways, did eat like this. It's their natural biology. Maybe they have no choice. But it had tasted so good. Audrey called me a vegetarian, so maybe it was normal for some humans not to eat it, but it sounded like an exception instead of the rule. I'm not sure what to think anymore.
Lyra, you said you were just passing through town?
Yeah, that's right.
Where are you staying?
I haven't really thought about that, to be honest.
Well, you're an interesting person, Lyra. I'll say that much.
Thank you.
Having a human call her interesting was an incredible honor. She thought Audrey was much more fascinating.
You're also incredibly naive. Something terrible is going to happen to you if you're left on your own.
What do you mean? The human world seems safe to me, well, other than the food. It seems impossible that anything worse than that could happen.
What I'm saying is... I'm crazy for saying this, because I just met you and all, but we've got a guest room back home, and if you need a place to stay until you get things figured out...
I'd love to!
I guess that's settled then. Come on, I'll show you where I live.
Audrey's house was just a half-hour walk away. It was 2 stories, painted white with a gray roof. It looked a lot like the other houses that were all around it, actually. They seemed to be arranged a bit more orderly than Ponyville, kind of in a grid pattern. It was thanks to the roads that the human carriages required. One of them was sitting in front of the house. This part of the town was quieter than the center had been. All of the houses had lawns with grass and trees, some better tended than others.
Looks like Mom's home. I'll tell her you're staying over. Don't worry, it shouldn't be a problem.
Alright.
Lyra was still amazed that she was about to stay in a human's home. It was almost enough to make her forget what she'd just eaten. Almost. Lyra noticed the word Loren on the side of the mailbox in front of the house. She followed Audrey up to the door and stepped inside. The entry hall really didn't feel too foreign. There was a still life painting hung on one wall of some fruit, and across from that, stairs headed up to the right. Lyra noticed that the stairs were narrower than back home, making them far more compact. Besides, the extra width wouldn't be necessary for a 2-legged human. Not long after they'd entered the house and Audrey had pulled the door shut, another human walked in. She looked kind of like Audrey, but her hair was curly instead of long.
Oh, I thought you'd be home soon.
Dad's still at work?
And who's this?
This is Lyra. I told her she could stay with us for a while. Make yourself at home. I'll handle this.
Oh, thanks.
She headed down the hallway and left the 2 humans in the entry. Their voices had dropped low. Lyra couldn't make out what they were saying, but she trusted Audrey. Maybe more than she should.
No, the meat had been a misunderstanding. I can't dwell on that. Even if I can't force it out of my mind no matter how hard I try. Besides, am I really in the position to turn down the kindness of strangers, especially humans?
She had to get her mind off what she'd done. This was a human house, after all. The thought of that was still exciting to her, regardless of everything else. Lyra headed into the other room. Now the house was starting to look different from Ponyville. The living room, if that's what it was, had a strange setup. A couch and a few chairs were set up, all facing a black box. At the moment, Lyra had no idea what it was for. It looked boring, so she turned her attention to the framed photos on the end table. This one. It looked just like Hearthswarming Eve. They had a tree decorated and everything. No, wait. That would be Christmas, wouldn't it? Lyra was grinning. Maybe she could ask them about what that was. But she couldn't be too obvious that she didn't know about it. All humans celebrated Christmas, after all. Another one seemed to be Nightmare Night. A small human the age of the young ones she'd seen at the restaurant was dressed like a black cat. It was probably Audrey at a younger age. But if humans didn't have Nightmare Moon, then who did they celebrate? She noticed the coffee table in front of the sofa had a vase with some flowers in it. Lyra was feeling a bit peckish. Hopefully she wouldn't be overstepping her bounds as a guest if she just took one. She bit into the petals and instantly had to resist spitting it out. It was way too bitter. She coughed and tried to swallow it.
Ew.
Lyra headed back into the entry hall. As she got closer, their voices became clearer.
Look, she's had a hard life. She won't even tell me what she's been through.
I realize that, but this isn't like when you used to bring home stray animals. This is a human being, Audrey. A stranger. Do you even know anything about her? Where she's come from?
She's going through a rough time. She's confused.
Sorry, but I think your flowers went bad. They don't taste right at all.
She was holding the stem with the head partially bitten off.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Lyra, was it? Audrey says that you'll be working in town to make your own money.
I really won't be any trouble. I can stay, right?
She took another bite of the flower stem without realizing it, and grimaced again. How could this taste bad when earlier today she'd eaten?
Come on. I'll show you where you'll be staying.
It was starting to get dark outside. Lyra was helping Audrey to put covers on the guest bed she'd be sleeping in.
Could you get the corner?
Sure. I can really stay here, right? How long?
However long you need to. I think you need to come up with a better plan, though. At this point, trying to find those people from the photo is just unrealistic.
They finished with the mattress cover and started on the blanket. It was just a simple task, but they were using their hands for it. One hand had to hold up the corner of the mattress while the other pulled the cover over it. Audrey had picked up the blanket when a man walked in from the hallway.
You must be Lyra. I heard you'd be staying with us?
Yeah.
Mom talked to you about, well...
I really won't be any trouble.
I'm sure you won't be. And we can't exactly throw you back out on the street, now can we?
I can't tell you how much this means to me.
It's nice to meet you, Lyra. Just let us know if you need anything. We really do want to help you.
Thank you! I think I'm doing okay right now, though.
I'll leave you be for now, then.
Looks good. And like Dad said, just tell us if you need anything.
Lyra was staring at the bookshelf at the end of the room.
Do you mind if I read some of those?
Sure. If you want to, I guess.
Thanks. But actually, I think I'll just be going to bed for tonight.
She realized again that she'd woken up this morning in Canterlot. It felt like years ago. She needed some rest.
Okay. Night then.
Night.
There were strange, unidentifiable sounds outside in the human world. Lyra thought they might be those carriages, but there was also a loud, high-pitched whine that grew louder and faded away. Lyra was stretched out on the bed, with her journal open in front of her, and a pencil in her hand.
It's not too different from home, except now I'm writing from experience, and there are so many new things I learned about humans today. Where to start?
She tapped the eraser against her lip. She took another glance over the room she was staying in. It was dark other than the lamp on the table next to her. In front of that, she'd set down her bag. Curtains hung in front of the window, but she hadn't felt like closing them. Earlier she had looked at the titles of everything on the bookshelf, and just couldn't decide where to start. Human culture was even wider and more varied than Equestria's. Back to her journal.
First off, be careful what you eat.
That note was worth circling. Lyra cringed just thinking of what had happened earlier today. Audrey hadn't meant any harm, though. Eating meat was just normal human behavior. It didn't change the fact that Lyra never wanted to do it again. Moving on, there were all of those inventions that were in this world. She flipped back to a few sketches of carriages that she'd done based on her dreams. Those had been surprisingly accurate. She went back to a blank page.
The idea that this is my world, this huge, amazing place, is just wonderful. Equestria can't compare to what might be in store for me here in France. And I already made a friend who could help me find my way around. Though, I do miss Bonbon.
A smile came to her face as she imagined what Bonbon's reaction would be to seeing her now. But that would never happen.
How could I get back without any magic? Besides, the spell was too difficult even for a normal unicorn. How did I even get to Equestria to begin with?
Too many questions, and she'd been through too much today to even consider them all. She yawned. She really should just get to sleep. She turned and saw her necklace hanging on the bedpost, a gold lyre just like her cutie mark. She reached past it to the lamp, trying to find the switch. She wondered if all humans had things like this in their homes. Magical appliances existed in Equestria, but they weren't too common. But judging from what Audrey had said this morning, she'd made it sound like magic was some kind of joke. How did anything here work then? Her fingers closed around the knob, and it clicked as she twisted it to the off position. She was too tired to think about all these questions right now.
All things considered, day one as a human was a success.